Hi, good morning. It's pretty early morning here, and I realize this is kind of a strange setup, but desperate people do desperate things, and I have a 2-year-old, so I wanted to do this video as quickly as I could this morning after getting up, because I often find that once I get started with my day and start to do all the things, that my attention is then absorbed by those things, and what I wanted to communicate in the video or in writing or whatever thing wants to be expressed sort of dissipates. And actually that's really the entire focus behind my message of what I wanted to express this morning. So I'll explain, because the title here is about raw food, about the why that I do raw food. And so I'll start there. So the real reason behind doing raw food for me is because it's clarifying for my body. It clears space in my body for me to actually experience stillness, which actually allows me to experience truth and the truth of who I really am. So after your body has gone through all its detoxing processes and has come into a state of balance and health, because generally if you're eating a standard American diet, you're feeding your body foods that is causing it to be in a state of inflammation, in a state of dis-ease. So your body has to go through a period of time of healing and coming into balance. So there is a space of time where that happens if you start to eat raw foods, if you start to eat really cleanly. And but after that period of time has passed, your body comes into a state of equilibrium and health and stillness. And that is the real why for me behind raw foods. I'll explain a little bit more. That to me is the real why behind just about everything that I want to do and practice in my life. The reason is to remove blockages, whether that's in my body or my mind, my psyche, remove trauma. And it's not about removing it, it's about removing the attention from it. And sometimes that requires an unpacking of what's there, to kind of, I picture it as like a knot, a really tight knot that has to sometimes be loosened up for the relaxation to occur, so that there's not all of the attention and focus is on that, at least in particular times. So what being alive is about to me, on one level, is about experiencing what I experience in the most free sense. Experiencing the freedom of who I am in the most clear way. And what I find is that that's about attention. And can my attention, it's not really about training the attention, it's about removing the blockages that consume that attention away from what's behind this form and what I think of as person, who I am in that human sense. So I've kind of given my mind and body the job. Our brains love to have jobs, right? And if they don't have one, they're going to find a problem and solve that. So what I like to really do is think of my brain as having this job of just removing blockages from my attention, so that I can more freely experience my life without these blockages, which tend to be Actually, they can be anything at all. They can be addictions, away from the present moment, to try not to feel pain. They can be distractions for basically the same reason. But anything that will take my awareness away from this moment and away from the conscious experience of the energy in my body moving through life is something that I am interested in attenuating. So, for instance, in the body, there are lots of little attention grabbers that can happen if your body is not in a state of balance, in a state of health. So there can be a headache, there can be any number of aches and pains, there can be extreme hunger, there can be a stomach ache, anything that is going to grab my attention is attenuated so much by eating raw food, because it's just getting what it's needing to function. My body is, and it's not getting a bunch of stuff that's clogging it up, causing these blockages physically and energetically. And what I'm talking about mostly here is attention-wise. It's not grabbing my attention away from where I am. So that really, raw food is just one of those practices. Meditation is another practice to really be able to, for me at least, sit in this place. This for me represents like the truth of who I am behind the personality and the habits and the preferences. To sit in that and kind of observe and be aware of the truth of the observing, rather than what my attention is being grabbed by. Because if my attention is grabbed by that a lot, I lose the focus here and become here, and then I've lost in a sense my sense of freedom and the way I feel the reality of life, this flowing of energy through my body. The attention on that gets distracted and I don't enjoy things as much. I'm not able to be as aware. So I don't want to overtalk it, but really just that any practice that removes those blockages. So chiropractic can be that for me, remove kind of physical or energetic blocks. The food, like I explained, exercising allows my body to be functioning at a more optimal level, so that also keeps me healthy and keeps my focus of attention and awareness not needing to be on the body. So basically anything I can do physically to remove those blockages, because as I mentioned, my job as I see it is not to train consciousness or to, if that can even be done, train attention or try to be something, but just really to remove the things that are blocking my awareness of that being. So that can be, like I've been describing, physical things. That's also the purpose of therapy, in my opinion. I have gone to therapy for a long time, and I find that to be a really important way to sort of unravel those knots that come from having being in reaction, because there's not an awareness there of what's happening in the present. That sounded very confusing. it's a way to unravel those knots so that my attention isn't so only here and this is what I think I am. It can be back here when the intellect more understands the traumas and the triggers, and not like those things are going to completely go away, but they loosen up and allow me to more often be in the freedom of experiencing my life just as that energy. Something else I wanted to mention too is that things for me, and I mean, this is all because I am not fully in the awareness that this is who I am all the time. And so it's still, I'm in the practice of that. And personally, I prefer to have a lot of quiet, or at least some quiet in my life, and a lot of calm. I prefer to have some kind of a flexible routine so that my needs are being met on a regular basis and my conscious attention doesn't always have to be putting out fires. Oh my God, I'm hungry, I haven't eaten all day. You know, I've been sedentary all day, so my body hurts, or, you know, now all these bills are piling up, or whatever it is. So those things are just kind of regularly taken care of so that I don't have to have a big load of attention go to that at any one time. I'm not a master at it, but generally that's kind of how I prefer to work. And things that are too loud in any sense for too long, where I'm not being able to really keep my attention. My attention is being drawn away. It feels very draining for me. And so I prefer in my life to have those things I'm describing, calm and quiet, and looking a lot at nature, because that reflects back to me that beingness. And I like to, because those things feel good to me, to have those reminders and those reflections of this, right? Can I just use that now as the ground of being, basically, I guess, is what I'm describing, and experiencing life from there. And if things are too loud, it starts to feel really noxious. And I'm sure there's something there for me to look at. But how I'm experiencing it now is that that's just another draw on my attention and my awareness, and that I do need some kind of silence, whatever form that comes. And I'm talking not just noise, or not just auditory noise, but also visual noise and psychic noise and energetic noise. Something I do every night is turn off the Wi-Fi in my home, because it's one of those things that actually, when I'm really quiet in my body, that I feels like this. And when I turn it off, it's this. So I think the more of those practices we do, the more we are familiar with how calm feels in our body, and how it feels to be, at least periodically, free of blockages. And that becomes kind of the preferred state. And to me, the true state. Not that you can't go do fun things or go to a concert and hear a loud thing, but there's a certain kind of ground of all kinds of silence that I feel to be really supportive of experiencing my life as the freedom of the truth of who I am. So I'm really glad to have gotten the time to actually express this. It's, you know, it's often like, is Vivi gonna run in for a second? And I'm gonna start over because I don't have time to edit. But anyway, all of that aside, I'm grateful to have been able to express this, and hope it was at least interesting. All right, have a great day.